Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. You're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we're discussing developing a life board. Who are those people that you surround yourself with, that grow you, that develop you, and what personality traits do they need to have? Plus, do you know what game this is? Tell you where you end up when you play that game. You end up with no friends. And have you ever met this couple?
And so it raises the bar for all of us when we see the best in action. And does that make sense?
It does. And I know that couple, and just so you know, after the party, they're arseholes.
It's a show. It's just a show.
Also, Sasha gets her license. They went Sasha Coburn, Harvard presenter, lawyer, co-host of the Not So Breakfast Show. You have your license.
They didn't say any of those things.
They just said, hey lady.
Hey lady, $28 and I'll write it up for you.
All right, that's the show. Let's get it.
I'm just getting into my position. Hey, now I'm not going to bang anymore. Go.
Okay. All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today. And this is the one about building a life board. This is exciting. Who would you have on your board? Who would you have representing you or helping develop you or giving you advice and insights? And we're discussing that today. And I'll tell you what, you know who I'd have on my board, Sasha?
Who?
It's you.
Oh, me!
You thought I was going to say Chuck Norris, didn't you?
I did. Chuck Norris is usually the answer to questions you pose yourself. I'm so pleased you said life board, because when I saw the note come through, I thought you said how to choose your life boat. I'm like, okay, well, I want one that's not going to sink, that's there when I need it. But that's kind of like a life board too, right?
That's right. And make sure that when I do post this, that I send it to you to edit, so I don't put making your life board like boring. Because I don't want to put that one out there.
Or the one about getting a cheese board.
Okay, so what we're talking about is creating, I guess, a circle of people, a circle of influence, a mastermind class around you, who is in your team and your pack that pushes you, that tests you, that does all of that thing that a board really does to help clarify your thinking, to test your thinking, to make sure that you're on the right track. Because I've kind of heard the analogy of a board really is like, if you're the one steering the ship, the board is like in the helicopter above the ship, telling you or trying to predict what is coming up, and really having people around you that can do that is so valuable.
I love that idea that it's a global kind of perspective and picture, and that can help you see what's ahead and give you what you need. I love that a lot. I know that Christians sometimes talk about this idea of who are you doing life with? And I think you and I have discussed before that I have a resistance to that. And the reason for that is that the message tends to be, as I understand it, and I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm not usually.
I'm going to go out on a limb, Sash, and I'm going to say that you're not wrong.
Even as the words came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, fake humility. Okay, so I could be wrong. But my perception is it's kind of like, make sure you're only surrounding yourselves with people who uplift you and who bring you joy and help you. And I think there's something to be said for that, because there's people who are energy vampires and we don't need them in our lives. But why I resist that is because I think we should surround ourselves in life with people that bring us joy, but also who we can contribute to. So this conversation that you and I are having now, this is not about who is your circle of friends. This is a very deliberate conversation that says in your life and in your career, can you build a community of people around you who are actively engaged in helping you navigate your way through either your career, your personal life, or both? And I think this is different from just who are you hanging out with on a Saturday. Yeah. This is about saying, can you get people in your life that will help grow and guide you? And I think you can, and I think you should.
Yeah, and people aren't Pokemon. You're not trying to collect them all. But if you are going to collect a few, let's collect the right ones that move you forward and develop you.
Yeah. And I think what's really useful, two things that can come out of this. One is that you just do a little audit on who you're getting your advice from now or who's in your corner, and just check to see if you've got the right mix of people that you're listening to or that you're reaching out for help to. That's terrible English. Sorry. Just check that you've got the right mix of people in there, and we're going to give you a framework to look at with that. So do your audit and check. And then second of all, if you've never given this any thought, you can start to be deliberate about actually asking for help. And last thing, identify what kind of person you are and be that person for someone else. So when I go through the 4 different categories, I think it's useful to identify what do you need, but also how can you serve somebody else by being this for them.
Okay, so who's the first person that we might want to put on our life board, Sash?
The very first person I want on my life board is a cheerleader. I want someone who just says day in, day out, go Sashi, you got this, you're the greatest.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to start. Someone who puts some wind in our sails.
Oh, for sure.
Can you think of people who have done that for you?
Yeah, there's just those people that they're going to support you no matter what. No idea is a bad idea. They are just going to back you, and they're the ones that just go, you can do this, you can do it, you've got it, you've done it before. It's almost like they see the potential in you, and they want you to just step into that version of yourself, but they're also there just to cheer you on when things are bad and when things are good.
And cheerleaders have a little bit of denial and refusal to acknowledge reality, and that's good. Okay, we need a bit of that. So if you go to a big sports game and your team is getting smashed, the cheerleaders don't go, oh, well, we're off now because this is a lost cause. They are waving their pom-poms until the bitter end. And I love being a cheerleader. There's some people in my life that I'm a real cheerleader for. Even when things are going terribly for them, I'm like, you've got this. It's going to be okay. I don't know if they've got it. I don't know if it's going to be okay. But I know that my role is to just blow some wind into their sails. So get yourself a cheerleader.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a cheerleader. That's one in my corner. Who else do I need? Do I just need a whole board of cheerleaders?
So now you need the almost polar opposite of a cheerleader, and that's a challenger. So you need somebody who challenges your thinking, who says, are you sure about this? It's almost like they're wearing the black hat of Edward de Bono, and they're going, you got to be kidding, right? You want to do what?
So why would I want that person? Because it feels like that person's holding me back. It feels like they're like I'm dragging them around like an anchor, or that they make me second guess things. But I can see that, I guess, that paradox there, because if everybody is your cheerleader, you might go and do something stupid. So you obviously would need to see the other side of it. But why is it so important?
Well, 2 things spring to mind for me. The first is, if we continue this board of director analogy for your life, you need someone up in that helicopter who says, there's a massive iceberg ahead. And you don't want to be the captain that goes, nah, I don't need that negativity in my life, bro. Shut up. You need someone who can point out, or maybe from their position that they have in the helicopter, they can see that there's a hole in your ship. And you've got some repair work to do. So they might be seeing a blind spot in you that needs a bit of work. And as long as their motivation is to help and always to have your best interests at heart, that's what a good challenger will do. And you and I, sometimes when we're talking about preparing for an audience, I love to say, prepare as though they hate you.
Yeah.
So the audience is sitting there going, your message is dumb, what you're saying doesn't make sense. And what that forces you to do is to make sure that your message is robust and that you've thought about it from every angle, that your stats are real and not made up. I mean, I love to say research suggests and just pull numbers out of my bottom. But actually, when you prepare rigorously, as if the audience is your challenger, then you get better. It sharpens you. Having a challenger makes you better. Once you've done that preparation, you always want to present as though the audience loves you, because it means you come from the right place.
Yeah. So how do you find that tension between challenger and, I want to use another C word, but I can't use it, but that person who's just an asshole, right? That is actually, they're challenging you, but it's actually, it's negative. It's not a positive challenge, if that is the way to put that.
So I think it's about a couple of things. One, it's about intention. Are they telling you this to help you, or are they telling you this to bring you down and because they're nasty?
Yeah.
Do they have expertise? So if you've got the person in the helicopter that's going, oh, I can't see an iceberg, but there's sometimes icebergs ahead, and that's not helpful. You want someone who is expert and whose motivation is to see you be the very best you can possibly be. So that's about not listening to people who just want to mess with your head. And it's about actively asking people for advice. I know there's a great little self-help book, and it's called Beware Those Who Ask for Feedback, because they only want affirmation. So when you are going to someone and say, hey, I'd love you to sense check this idea for me, don't ask them unless you want them to sense check the idea for you. You have to be going in a time that you're open. And I recognize that within myself, that sometimes I go to someone for feedback and actually I just want them to tell me that it's all going to be okay. So I need to recognize that. Otherwise, I'm going to get a rude awakening.
Okay, so we've got our cheerleader, we've got our challenger. Who else is in our life board?
I reckon one of the most important people we need is a coach.
Yes.
And a coach is someone that gives us the actual skills or the feedback that we need on a regular basis to improve. So whereas the challenger might say, I'm not sure about your strategy, have you thought about this, have you thought about that? The coach says, okay, we are agreeing what we're going to improve and work on together, and they have the technical skills to help you. They absolutely believe in you. There's a cheerleading aspect. They challenge you, but they have a more holistic view of helping you close the gaps. I mean, you must have had some good coaches in your time.
Yeah, and they're the ones that can come with the plan or help you unpack what you want to do, what skill you want to develop, where you want to be, and then put the logical next steps or the steps in place. And that's really like the challenger might go, look, I don't think you've got that right. I think you need to do that better. It doesn't sound right to me. But you go, well, what should I do? They go, I don't know. It's not my job. But you're looking for that coach.
It's not my job, and here's my bill.
Here's my bill. But, you think about, all the greatest movies, there's an issue. There's someone wiser or older or younger but smarter, or the coach, right? That role is so important to take the hero into their full potential. That's basically what it is, but they can unpack it. And I think sometimes when it comes to coaching, you know really good coaches because they can unpack the thinking. It's often why sports people actually are great sports people but not very good coaches. One, they can't remember how they got good, or two, they can't explain how to get good. And that's really where the coach steps into that space.
Yeah, they were always just fast.
Yeah.
It's like whenever I say something like those master classes, you too, Bono will teach you how to sing. I'm like, no, he won't. He just gets up there and goes, this is how.
Bono never had to deal with all of this.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what it's like to be me. So I think what's really interesting about this idea of coaching is I've always resisted it.
Right.
Like people have life coaches, and I tend to look down my nose. I'm a bit sneery, a bit sniffy about that. And I don't know why, because sports people, the very best sports people in the world who know how to play basketball and golf still have coaching right throughout their entire life. They get tune-ups. And so I'm recently sold on this idea where just regular communication with somebody who says, what about this? What's next? How about that? Let's go.
Yeah.
I think hugely valuable.
Yeah. And God, I think they can shortcut for you. So it's stuff that it's not that same kind of mentoring where we're going to enlighten this idea together and I'm going to help you move forward, but you're going to do your own learning. Like a coach is very much, okay, so you want to get there? All right, well, I would suggest we do this, this, and this, and this. And then it's like, okay, we're off. And it may be that you have a coach for a period of time, and then you need another coach because you've got to the end of that journey or the end of their mastery.
Yeah. I'm excited about having people think about, do they have a coach in their life? Can they be a coach? Do they need a cheerleader? Can they be a cheerleader? Can you be a challenger? Do you have a challenger? I think this is really powerful.
Yeah, this is good. All right, 3 C's. I'm expecting a 4th C.
Yes, yes, you're a genius. The 4th person that I think that you want on your life board is somebody who's a competitor.
Wow.
Who actually competes with you. And that will often be someone who's doing the same thing that you want to do or is slightly ahead of you in the journey. And this kind of goes against our nature because we are competitive by nature. And so we go, oh, I couldn't ask them for help because what would their interest be in helping me? They're busy helping them. And I think what's great about how the world has changed over the last however many years is there's much more a spirit now of collaboration that says actually if we combine forces we can go faster. So you want someone on your advisory board who traditionally might have been a competitor but in actual fact may be willing to collaborate with you. And I'll give you a really good example of how this plays out, or it's played out a couple of times for me. I do a little bit of emceeing, not much. I don't love emceeing. I much prefer to be a speaker. But sometimes it helps a conference organizer if I can also do some emceeing. So I was speaking at a conference once, and Hilary Barry, who is much loved in New Zealand, she's on our TV show at 7 o'clock every night, 7 p.m. She's like a mother of the nation kind of a host person. She was the MC at a conference I was speaking at. So technically, from time to time, we compete to be MCs. I'm not in her stratosphere. She's a star. I'm just kind of learning my craft. The first thing I did when I met her is I said, "Hello, Hilary. I love your work. You're amazing. How much do you charge?" Because how am I going to know what companies are paying for their MC unless I've got the balls to just ask someone who may or may not be in competition with me for gigs and let's work together. And she gave me some really solid advice. And then just yesterday I was on a call with another woman and she said, "I've just been asked to MC. What should I charge?" And I said, well, let me tell you what Hilary Barry charges. I'll tell you what I charge. Let's work together to lift other people up as they're growing through their careers.
Yeah.
And so that's an example of kind of working with somebody who's potentially a competitor and just collaborating on them with them.
Yeah. And competition also raises the game and the opportunity for more people. Like you just think in retail, you'll see supermarkets and some people go, why are they side by side? Well, they're side by side because it is good for the competition between the supermarkets because, one, you capture 100% of the market between the two of you. There's choice for people. It drives price and keeps price to some sort of regularity. It also forces those food chains and those supermarkets to put on specials and do things and raise their game and make their environments better. If there was just one, well, they would just have to exist in order to be successful. And people may just be absolutely so frustrated because there's no choice. And we see that time and time again in different types of retail. Competition is good.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-Minute Presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-Minute Presenter program.
Oh, you think about in the speaker game that you and I play in from time to time. Every time someone is a keynote speaker at a conference and they're a little bit rubbish, that doesn't help us. No. So we might think, oh, well, that's great because our competition is worse than us. We'll now get the gigs. What actually happens is companies and conference organizers go, I'm not sure there's any point in having a speaker. So we all get tarred with the same brush. And that's why, in my mind, if we can work together and make every speaker amazing, that's better for all of us. I think there's some really interesting things that are coming out now in this whole gender dispute that's happening in sport. So something happened the other day that was fascinating. The men's race set off 10 minutes before the women's race. And
Right.
the top woman rider caught up with the men. And that muddied the field. So they made her stop. They made her stop,
What?
and then just the men kept going so that the women's field wasn't all messed up, because that wouldn't happen.
Wait. Was this race in Gilead?
No. And there's actually some partly good sense around it, because the idea was if she could then draft off the men, that would be unfair on the other woman who was further back, right?
Okay.
That was the argument. But it turns out that what it's led to is this idea that one of the reasons that men get stronger and stronger is they train with men. Right? So take the gender out and say, if you want to be as strong as you possibly can, train with people who are stronger than you.
Yeah.
That's getting your competition to be part of your life board, right? How it plays out in sport, which is fascinating, is once girls get to about 10, they say you can't play with the boys anymore.
Yeah.
And so then those girls play with girls and the fields are not as strong. And those really strong girls, it's an interesting idea that you should just train with people all the time who are better, faster, stronger than you. Now, physically, we can go, what does that mean? And it's a bit gendered. But in the workplace or in your personal life, I often challenge myself. Let me give you this really digressing example. Sometimes you go out for dinner and you meet a couple and they are so loved up in the way they speak to each other and care for each other around your dinner table. I go, oh, I want that. I want that. And I'm not competing with them to go, oh, they seemed so in love. It causes me to reflect and go, if I want that, I need to behave differently in order to get that. And so it raises the bar for all of us when we see the best in action. And does that make sense?
It does. And I know that couple. And just so you know, after the party, they're assholes.
It's a show. It's just a show. Sometimes you see it when you see I'll see a mum having an interaction with her teenage daughter and I go, oh, that was so beautiful. I want to be like that. And so partly this idea of having competition is just who's really good at it. And rather than excluding them, work with them. Find people who are really good at what you want to be good at. Collaborate with them.
Yeah.
That's who you should have on your life board.
All right, that's been a great discussion. I think the idea of a life board is cool. I think an audit to think who is on your life board. Have you got your cheerleader? You know, have you got your challenger? Have you got your coach? Have you got someone that you compete against? And then where do you fit into other people's life board? Could you be a challenger in someone else's life board? Could you be a cheerleader in someone else's? You don't have to do the default. Well, my personality is the challenger, so I'm going to be the challenger on everybody's life board. Tell you where you end up when you play that game. You end up with no friends. So maybe look for that diversity within yourself and challenge yourself to step into different personas and support people in different ways.
What do you think you most naturally are out of those?
I kind of feel like I would flick between cheerleader and coach.
Right.
Like I just would want that more positive side. And I think on the other side, and this is my own issues, that I might go, well, if I'm kind of challenging someone or I'm competing against them, or it kind of feels that negative side, but that's stuff I need to unpack as well. I need to, understand that is not serving me because it's not helping other people. And someone may need me actually to step more into that competition mode because they don't have that. And there's a whole lot of people right around them right now being the cheerleader and the coach, but no one's doing that. So I could step into that space.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I think I'm quite good at people perceiving me as being competition and then discovering I actually just really want to collaborate. I really help them. And so if we can do something together, then that would be cool. Yeah, I'm good at I'm a rubbish coach. Although I have just recently helped someone, it was somebody who had downloaded and purchased our 30-minute presenter program. So those of you who want to get good at doing a 30-minute presentation, we've got an audio program that you can buy. It's pretty bloody good. So this is a pretty senior business leader here in the Waikato who he bought it. He was listening to it on the way to work, and he said, "Hey Sash, can I just show you what I'm going to do?" I said, "I would love to help." And so together we've worked on his keynote. He's just delivered it. He's nailed it. So I did have it in me, but it's not a natural thing of mine.
And what was great about having that resource there as well is you could actually go, yes, I will, but go absorb all the content, because otherwise it's going to be a really expensive conversation for the next, 5 weeks till we get you up to this standard. So just having that efficiency of go do the audio course and then come for the mastery and let's take it to the next level.
I love it. We had so many funny moments where, because he's listened to the episodes over and over again, he feels really like he knows us. And he does. And everybody who's listened to it knows us, but in a way that's, it's really cute. I love it. He said, "Remember when you said," I'm like, "No," because we recorded it once, but he's listened to it like 5 or 6 times. So it's a beautiful thing. And jeepers, I love seeing someone later in their career taking on something new. So all the stuff that we talk about being brave, about stepping outside of your comfort zone, about mastering a new skill, he's done exactly that. He's recognized within himself that he's not as good as he wants to be. He's got himself a coach. And I've tried to be a cheerleader as well. So it's a great little story. Go you. You know who you are.
Hey, so Sash, Sam got her restricted license. Thank you, baby Jesus. That is awesome.
That's amazing.
I know. So we were so excited because it's just like, yes, that's one less to have to, drive around. Yeah. She went to work the other day, late night, came home, and then she was leaving the next day and she went, "Where's my license plates?" And someone had stolen her license plates off her car.
What's that about?
Well, so what they do is they unscrew them and they put them on other cars, and then they go do ram raids or they go to petrol stations and fill it up and drive off. And of course, they go, "Well, the license plate was da-da-da-da-da-da," and they go, "Oh,
the license plate that you gave her,
Ish's car."
Love Ish.
Yeah. So anyway, but what I found out was, because this happens all the time, you just have to do a police report and you go in and get new license plates. And new license plates are only like $19.11, and you get them instantly. It blew my mind. I was like thinking, lining up at the AA, here we go. I'm going to walk in there, I'm going to have to fill in a form. They're going to go, "Oh, you need to go get this piece of information." I won't have it. It'll go through this whole rigmarole. Then they'll say, "Yep, they'll be with you in a month." And I'll have to wait. They didn't. She just reached behind the counter, pulled out, "Here's your new plates."
Amazing.
$19.11.
Bless the AA, the Automobile Association. I was also there today getting an international driver's license, because you guys know that I'm going to Coldplay in 3 nights at Wembley Stadium. Amazing. And you also know me that I'm all about the fact that trickle-down economics doesn't work. If we just give tax cuts to fat cats, it does not help the people who we need to run our societies. So I am fully supportive of the rail workers who are striking in England. Fully supportive. I just wish they weren't striking on the day that I need to take the train from London to Wales, which is where I'm going to the wedding. And so what it means was, I'm trying to solve the problem. Initial thoughts, get a helicopter. How hard can it be? Helicopter London to Wales. The only reason I'm not getting a helicopter from London to Wales, notwithstanding the exorbitant cost, which I cannot afford, is because I don't want to upstage the bride.
Fair call.
And I think if I arrived in a helicopter, that's not fair on me.
Yeah, good call.
So having ruled that out as a possibility, I need to hire a car.
Yeah.
And to hire a car, I'm going to need an international license, and the AA turns that around just like that this morning for me.
They went Sacha Coburn, Harvard presenter, lawyer, co-host of the Not So Breakfast Show. You have your license.
They didn't say any of those things.
They just said, hey lady.
Hey lady, $28 and I'll write it up for you.